Alrighty, guys, what's up? It's Monday, and we are talking markets. Big earnings week, huge tech, crypto going crazy, the old metals climbing on up, gold, silver, potentially breakout there, and of course, indices keep climbing the wall of worry into the trend line. I hope you all had a great weekend. I hope you had fun with your family, friends, and everything else. And I gotta say, I need that kind of music here at 10:30 p.m. at night here in Australia to get ready for the week. I still feel like at least I get a bit revved up for it. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, guys. We'll give a shout out as always to the people that came here early. We've got Chris, David, Bubs, Evan, Darth. Good to see you, Darth. I saw you check on LinkedIn before, so thank you very much for posting over there as well. Clays, Jits, Joe, Professor G, Ryan, Deborah, Andrew, Justin, Matt, Stock Crypto, and Michael, Andrew, and everybody else. Thank you guys for joining us. If you can help out the channel, make sure to give it a quick thumbs up as well if you enjoy the content. And if you're over on X, what's up? Say something in the chat. Always good to see people following us over there as well. So, guys, it's been going pretty well. If you rotated into metals, nice. If you rotated into crypto over the last week or two, let us know in the chat. Not bad. If you've been in silver gold, not bad. Not bad today indeed. And of course, if you are even in the stock market right now, it seems like everything's going up. So could this Goldilocks scenario actually come to an end? Is there something bad going to happen? Are we going to see price to perfection and therefore a little bit of a sell-off in some of these tech stocks? Well, first up, let's look at cross-correlation possibilities. I always go with if things are all hitting resistance at the same point, something to be paying attention to. So I'm pretty sure that Ethereum is going to be sitting at around resistance at 4K. This has been a very good run. Many people, of course, getting on the Ethereum bandwagon. XRP also going. Bitcoin, obviously, a little bit of laggard here compared to the others. But this is, of course, been the story here. And it's running, hit 36, 34, I mean, which was my first kind of target. And then, of course, just kept blitzing it. So 4K, I think, is the first correlation there for today. Generally speaking, this and XRP, I'll just kind of load it up so you guys can see it, even if you're not interested in crypto. Still good to see these markets. You can see here, pull back in time, rally. Where's it going? I don't know. Could go 4, could go 5. Who knows? You'd probably be doing fib projections if you were looking at this and looking for those 1618s and those types of things. But certainly a big run. And I'm sure a lot of people as well are drawing stuff like this and saying, look, it's going to go like that, guys. We're going to get this huge move. Going to push towards actually a 5 would be what that would be projecting. So interesting for that one. But let's have a look at the US 500 because I think the all-important trend line is coming. Look at us. We're there. We're close. Oh, 63.50-ish level. The NASDAQ kind of tapping it already. The Russell hitting into the supply. You guys know they're all very, very close. So as you know, in all of those kind of good topping markets, in all of those markets where we found excellent buys, later, like April and obviously in last year in the same period, actually August. What was it? It was cross correlation. So I believe this market is like an organism. And if you think about it, you have a whole bunch of different, what looks like not connected things. But then actually, when you understand them, they all come together as a great story into one big, beautiful story. It's like the one big, beautiful bill, except that we've got one big, beautiful story. Do you guys believe that they're all connected? I mean, a lot of you, I've always got feedback on this show, and I'd be interested actually to get your feedback here in the chat. Do a lot of you guys watch the show because of the fact that we bring it all together and we kind of bring some simplicity to the madness that has been chaos in terms of a lot of different markets? Because I feel like sometimes people get carried away in the bonds market or they get carried away in the crypto market and they start badgering on about something absolutely ballistic, like, oh, the JP40Y is going to kill everybody and it's all over. Or they'll talk about, the end of the world in crypto because this market crashed or something like this. It's actually an organism. So if we think of it that way, why wouldn't everything correlate? Why wouldn't some of the major markets all hit levels at the same time? And of course, that's one of the things that we always do want to see. And I was surprised actually that the S&P has been floating here for a while. The 6,300 call wall was too much for it, but looks like we're going to break it today. And that opens up, of course, 6,350. And I think we've got to also realize that the trend is still up. Okay, we can be looking for a market to pull back. Okay, we could say, oh, it's too ridiculous. It's too far away from the weekly mean reversion, which is the standard area to be going for, which is at 6K, by the way. But you just don't have weakness yet. We have a little bit of a tinkering to have the powder dry based on the bonds market and obviously the widening gap here of option spreads. But at the same time, we just don't have an actual price action reason. So remember, it is about patience. It's about understanding that there are things in this organism that are all hitting at the same time, but they haven't quite all hit. We've had the Russell, I'd say that's hit. The NASDAQ, I'd say that's hit. The other markets, not so much. Maybe the dollar, okay? But we haven't had the other signs. We haven't had things like maybe gold and silver rallying through because people are concerned about geopolitical tensions. And then that, of course, gets a bit of the money out. We haven't had the big monster, which is S&P 500, hitting the trend line yet. But it's certainly getting very, very close. A couple of comments here. Chris says, to some extent, yes, but also a good summary of data and otherwise have to pay for. And then you go and get options, flow charts, and all other things. Fair enough, Chris. I like the historical comparisons to previous examples of similar scenarios, so I have context. That's absolutely a great way of looking at things, Chase. And Zane, I think it is. I'm sorry, I butchered your name, bro. But you got a great comment here. It says here, have been watching every day. This video is the first thing as I get ready for work. Appreciate it, man. Your thesis is grounded and makes sense. I take the learning and then do my own digging in. Yeah, absolutely. You should always do that. And I think it's good also to have that kind of base. And I appreciate you guys putting your faith in me as well to really go around and to look through thousands of charts, because that's what I do weekly, and to cut the crap basically and hopefully bring through some of that stuff. There are bearish divergences in RSIs and MACDs. You're always generally going to get it, Dave. So you've got to remember that. And that does come through. And Michael always appreciated, man, as well. I'm afraid to short. I'll admit it. Don't think it's a good idea to short. I wouldn't do it. If you were shorting, you would only do it with options to protect yourself here. Yeah. Chris says here, two main reasons. One, you simplify looking at TA. Two, you don't seem to have an agenda, so you aren't a shill for your position. I like a little bit of shill, Chris, but yeah, fair enough. Appreciate it, man. Ryan says here, there are a lot of fakes out there. You're one of the ones that have known what you're talking about. I mean, it takes tens of thousands of hours, so I appreciate that, but I have put in the work. And 937 DTD says, I like the show because you know what you're talking about. Appreciate it, man. Ted says here, I watch your show because I don't think big picture, and that's the same way, in the same way that you do. That's very cool. Appreciate it, man. Ability to break the broad lens. I appreciate this, guys. Thank you very much for the feedback there. It's always helpful. All right, so US 500, 63.50. I think it's kind of more likely than not that we try to push towards that. We are overbought. There's no denying it. You've got your RSI, MACD divergences. Sure, I never trade off those. But I think the thing is here is I've got a stat for you from Subu, and I'll put it in that close trade here today in terms of the video. But I just thought you might want to see it. And this is the percentage of days or the number of days above the 20 DMA without kind of reverting back to it. And it's actually kind of cherry picked, but what it shows you is actually it's a pretty aggressive trend. So it's kind of rare for us to pull away from the 20 daily and not actually pull back to it. And you can see here that this 59, guys, it seems to be pretty rare. It actually doesn't happen that often. And the stats are weird. 3 days later after seeing this, only 11% of the time was the market up. So if we think that we're at a pivotal correlation, let's say we think that, okay, the Russell's kind of at a supply, the NASDAQ's at a resistance / trend line, the S&P 500's at a 6,300, 6,350 kind of, call wall scenario / trend line. It is a pretty wild stat that only 11% of the time in markets similar to this, notably 1998, 97, which is of course .com versus now, and also the 60s points as well, which is the last kind of most correlated markets. Funnily enough, that we were only bullish one out of those times. So, yeah, interesting stat. Only one stat, but certainly something else to bring into your knowledge base. So let's just have a look at this correlation I've been talking about. First up, we'll go here, Russell. You can see Russell is on the supply. So we've got the correlation of the 2250 to kind of 2300 zone being an area for it to get through to show outperformance. By the way, guys, as I've demonstrated in our close shows, we just do not have a reason yet to say that small caps are going to beat big caps. They're just not doing it. Does anyone here know the code that we use to actually break that one down? Does anyone remember the code that we break down the small caps versus big caps kind of scenario? Because I think a lot of people don't think of markets this way, and it's very important to do so. Think of, again, it's an organism. So if you think about an organism, sometimes Wall Street, they're over here, and then suddenly they're over here, and they're moving through to that area, yeah? So they move, and then they start funneling more and more and more and more and more money across. And it's your job as an investor and trader to see when that happens so you can outperform the SPY. That's really your main goal. Outperform the S&P 500. Otherwise, just not going to be very good. So a few of you got it here. IWM versus SPY. This is going to help us to really ascertain whether the Russell is outperforming. And at the moment, I would say it's neutral. Is it up? No. Is it down? Not really. It's performing the same. It's been horrible for ages. So therefore, for now, the big caps are still the leaders. So first up, Russell there, supply. NASDAQ, pretty clear. The main trend line every single person is going to have. How many videos or images have you guys seen of people pasting this trend line up this weekend? How many people have you seen have this one here, guys? They're like this. I've seen some where they pull it to 1929. I don't. It's wild trend lines that go to 1929. I feel like making that a thumbnail now. But anyway, wild trend lines from the 1920s. And there we have, this high here. So obviously we're smash banging into it today. Again, another correlation here with the markets. So we've got Ethereum getting close to 4K. We've got Russell, we've got NASDAQ, we've got S&P kind of in that next 40, 50 point range. Here's the gamma, so you guys can see it. So you've got the 6,300 here. A lot of random calls everywhere today for the 21st. And then we've got 6,350 becoming a pretty big strike. So again, if we do push here and we keep pushing today, 6,350 is going to be the main area that's going to be that blocker. It's going to stop the markets. And people are getting wild. I mean, there's a lot of calls now for December. There's a lot of calls now starting to appear, pretty deep ones for August and for even September in general. So we've got some pretty big calls coming through there. 1929 BC, says Dono. True, Dono. Gold at 3,387. Absolutely, bro. And then we've got here speculation, very long NASDAQ at the moment. Yep, we've got the overbought, what was it? Extreme greed. Extreme greed is back. I've been asking many people's opinions on sentiment, ticker symbol S. Okay. This morning looks like a buy signal to me, but it is under the 200-day MA. I am already in this stock now, but I'd like your take on it. Sentiment. I mean, it's not really, I don't know. I read it now, so I have to look for you. But Sentinel-1, is this it? Okay. I would say it's just basing. I mean, it's obviously strong today because you get your pre-market here. Your lows, man. You don't have really a higher high yet, so that's not the great. But if you breach this, which I guess you are, that's a good sign because that's kind of like a gap down, gap up, island reversal at around the base structure. Now, I don't know how big this is nor what it is. 6 billion. So, okay. Anyway, that's off the point. So I probably shouldn't have read that. So yes, we've got those correlations. I think they're there. I think silver's probably breaking out again, which is awesome. You guys know I'm bullish on silver. I'm bullish on the crypto crap. I'm bullish on, I call it crypto crap because you guys know. Look, if you're in crypto, you know. Don't be lying. You know there's memes. You know there's weird rocket emojis. you know that 3/4 of the coins are absolutely useless. We can call it crypto crap. We love Bitcoin, but we still call the rest crypto crap. So silver, even the guys I know that have millions of this stuff, they still call it crypto crap. It's pretty funny. I've never seen an asset class where people abuse it, yet at the same time, they're like, yes, I have $1 million in it. It's just ridiculous. Is that 2025 in a nutshell? Maybe it is. Yeah, so silver broke out here, of course, past 38.40. That signals that hopefully we can move to a new high, which is pretty sweet. And what this is telling us as well into the Japanese election stuff, I'm not sure if that's over. Didn't really look. I know a lot of people are concerned about it, but the fact is here that we've got the silver movement up. We've got the gold movement up as well. Gold breaking up in the mount. Oh, that's not bad. This one actually, I was waiting for this. This one is certainly a day trading masterclass special. Bit of a plug there. There's my shell for today. If you're interested in finding out about replication. But this particular gold trade, was very replicable. So to see that moving up is quite nice. And it's kind of weird because at the same time as we have the markets moving up here a little bit, we have commodities and the multiple geopolitical tension style positions rallying quite a lot. But I do believe that this commodities trade is starting to expand. So it's not just gold, it's not just silver, it's not just, okay, Bitcoin's not a commodity, but you know what I'm saying? It's not just the geopolitical stuff. We're seeing iron ore, we're seeing aluminum or aluminium, we're seeing copper, we're seeing improvements in the whole broad energy market. Uranium's obviously going bonkers. And this is, I believe, a possibility here. I was talking about this in our macro class, and I'll just leave you with a snippet here. That I think if you sleep on metals and minerals, particularly rare earths, over the next decade to 15, 20 years during an AI rollout, I think that could be a big mistake. Do you guys agree with that? I don't know whether the next battleground is actually technology stocks or whether the next battleground is the rare earths, minerals, and metals to produce the products that AI will effectively create. And I feel like it's the latter. Like, as in, like, we are going to be in a battleground. It's an arms race, yeah? And I feel like metals, minerals, all this stuff, these rare earths, these things are going to matter because not only are we in a geopolitical tension period, but we're also in an arms race in AI. And whoever wins that arms race is the winner of the world. You get what I'm saying? So I believe this. Maybe you guys do. We'll read comments in a second here, but you've got to be considering it. So it looks like there's a lot of correlation, is what I'm getting at here. Thoughts on biotech? I think biotech generally does Labu. Why do you say biotech and that Labu? I'm just going to show you what Labu is if you're not familiar. So Labu is a 3 times levered biotech. So firstly, never do your analysis on this. Always go to the non-levered index. You can trade the levered index if you want, but this is inefficient, so you get bad TA on it. So that's a big mistake I see a lot of people make. Not saying you do, but just that's the big thing. The second one is be careful in 3 times levered funds. Every retail trade is in these. I do not believe it's going to go well. I do not believe it's going to go well. I really think like this is, I've never seen anything like this. The amount, well, I have, and unfortunately history would tell me it's not good. It's just a matter of timing. So everyone's in single stock levered ETFs. Everybody's using leveraged ETFs in America. I swear that every single person, they don't even know what they're doing. And they're like, wait, what's this? I can take $1 and turn it into $3 and then I make 1 billion% more money. Oh yeah, baby. Let me just put options on that. Is that what your friends are doing, guys? Labubu stock. Oh, Labubu. Is that still going? Labubu? Does anyone have like a girlfriend or wife with Labubu? Anyone ever seen these things, by the way? I'll just show you. These things, seriously. Labubu doll. Hideous looking things. Look at them. I'll show you them. Oh my goodness. You want that thing? Look at that. The hell is this thing? It's like $500. The modern day Beanie Baby. Imagine that thing. Oh, geez. Labubu. Thoughts on Kevin, I'll have a look at that in a second. Sun's going well though. Will says here, totally agree. We need to see the winners are in AI, and I have no idea as of society what we want to do with it or not. But energy and minerals be at the heart of it no matter what. Absolutely right. That's why energy stocks are rallying. Energy stocks are moving, but I think the big thing, uranium's already moving. So we know that that's based on energy usage, though. Yeah. What about the products that don't exist yet? What I'm getting at. So obviously, Apple's already gone to secure that. So you've got to think about that way. BTC is a commodity, says the CFTC. Okay, very good. So my thoughts on biotech is that well, firstly, if we went to IBB, you'd just be basically seeing it here or whatever, whichever one you want to use. But you can see it's an upward trend at this stage, but still at the supply. So there's a bit of resistance here. Jeez. Common sense. My goodness. I'm not reading that one out. Rika says here, Tom, how old is your baby now? 2.5. You can believe it. 2.5. Time flies. I tell you what, he talks more than I do. Sean says here, crappy can be very profitable. That's true. Absolutely, it can. Self-deprecating. Absolutely, David. Absolutely. CRISPR good. Yeah, CRISPR's been doing okay recently. So if you have a look at CRISP, which is the therapeutics kind of genomic resequencing, it's on a tear. And this has been one I've watched for a long time. You guys in the community have this one. And yeah, it's going, but you got to remember it does pumpy dumpy. So is it cheap based on what it used to be? Yeah, it used to be like $200, but don't expect that. You've just got to say, okay, it's rallying. And this whole genomic resequencing, thanks to AI, makes sense. You'd be probably looking up here in your 80s, 87s plus. Do you have gold with a 3,700 target? I think it's fair. We'll go back over to gold here. It's got a pennant, and I don't know if everyone's seeing this as a pennant, but to me, it realistically is. And the thing that's exciting about a pennant is that they can go on ballistic runs. I mean, if you think about it, it's pennant into pennant almost. So this one here was kind of pennanty, obviously melt up style. And I'm not sure how long this leg was. Yeah, so this leg was about that length. Then it did a pennant, then it went ballistic. And then you can see here the length. So what if we got an 80% move from here? That is 80% of the expectation. Wow, it'd be 4K. So, I think it's pretty cool. And I do love gold. So I won't say no. My target was, of course, 3K 3,600 by October. So 3K originally, and then I upgraded to 3,600. I feel like giving it 4K. I do. I think that the fiat system is really losing steam here. And clearly that's the trade flow. So what do you think, guys? Is that plausible? SPY leaking a bit? You mean lost like 0.05%? That means you're looking at the 1% here. I bought call options on SU before the breakout. Can you please explain the risk to me like a child? Keen to learn. So basically, you've bought a contract. Oh, like a child. So you've taken $1 and then you've turned it into like probably $10. So if it goes down even a little bit, you're going to get wiped out. That's pretty much it. We'll go with that. Now, in essence, what's happened here is you've bought like a 2 times levered fund. That's already inefficient. So each day it reprices itself. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is you lose a little bit of money. So you take your dollar and you're losing a little, let's say you lose a cent a day just holding it. And then on top of that, if it goes against you, then you really start losing a lot more. So you're going to lose like a cent a day or half a cent a day against your dollar. And then at the same time, you've got degradation. So I wouldn't be surprised if your hold cost is extremely high. You'll get no lollipops at the shop soon if it goes bad on you. Why not short stocks if you see extreme greed, overbought indicators hitting trend lines? Because often markets, Tom, this is a good question. I'll put it up on the screen. So thank you very much, P. Myers, as well. Watching you on X. Very appreciative. Tom says here, why not short stocks if you see extreme greed? This is a great question. Overbought indicators hitting trend lines, pretty high PE, and we have tariffs with EU starting again in August, September. That could be rolled, by the way. Historically bad months. So you're not wrong, but how do you do it, Tom? Do you do it with a CFD? Probably not, because that's going to be very risky and you could get totally blown out. Where's your stop loss going to be? Things can get very carried away. So if you're going to do this type of trade, generally I'll do it in stages. You got to think like the big guys. The big guys scale in and scale out. So let's say you had a certain amount of risk. Let's go with $1,000, and that $1,000 that you want to risk. What if you put down $500 initially and then $500 as you start to see it actually work with your plan? And that's very good for guys because we have itchy fingers. We are terrible at discipline in the markets. You guys know. They're terrible. I trained a lot of people. I swear sometimes I get out and I'm like, just yell at them, yeah? Because I yell at you guys because it's so frustrating to see us make these same mistakes, but it's just how we are. So in general, I usually find that the scale concept would be better, but I think options would be the best play in that situation. And that's because you can risk manage. Kevin says, I'd love to see 60, 70 silver. I would be, maybe I'll stop making videos if that happens, Kevin. Josh says here, tough for me to buy anything right now when everything is parabolic. I'd agree with you, Josh, in some ways, but I think there's actually a lot of things that aren't parabolic. I mean, there are still cryptos that are going. There are obviously just last 2 weeks ago, we just saw cryptos rally. So that was an opportunity. There's metals still that aren't parabolic. Some metals aren't parabolic. You're thinking precious. I'm thinking hard metals. So there's even the whole thing here with China. So you can see here Chinese stocks rallying big time at the moment. I mean, but they're not like extremely overbought. It's just an injection of liquidity and they're just kind of rallying through. Now, I'm not soliciting you to buy anything. I'm just saying there are always new opportunities. So that's going to be pretty sweet. Lindsay says here, will the odd benefit from AI? You mean, will Australia be lucky again and get away with it because we have metals and minerals? Possibly, that is true. I'm thinking about that at the moment, personally. Gold to 4K, of course. Oh, it's also clear now. It's also clear, guys. Remember, I believe, when did we first start crapping on about gold here in the community? It was a while ago. TLT is trapping longs. Yeah, TLT is confusing. I don't like confusion. Dude's asking a ChatGPT question. Yeah. But the ChatGPT will still get it wrong in some of that stuff because what you're doing is it should know, but FU is obviously levered. And then on top of that, you have inefficiencies, which it'll get wrong. And then, because it is quite stupid still in some ways, ChatGPT. And then it'll probably not really understand the full risk of the call, but it does know how degradation works. What do you think of TLT, man? Everyone likes TLT. Well, firstly, I'll just quickly do this Chinese market. So I think 26,000 is possible. It is getting injection. It does seem to have a liquidity. The liquidity came in a little while ago, so that tends to come through into the market later on. And obviously, if it does find buyers, it could go ballistic. It can also go up even against the US. So if the US goes down, it's possible for China to go up. It's kind of like disconnected in some way. Let's have a look at these treasuries. Why is everyone in treasuries? What do we say on the channel, guys, about treasuries? Don't trade treasuries. DCA into SQQQ. Oh, that's terrible. Why would you do that? DCA into SQQQ. Exactly. This is Sean uses all caps. Levered ETFs are for quick momentum trades. No doubt. Good morning from Canada. I just started and you helped me on the learning curve. Thank you for your work. No worries. Thank you very much for your likes, comments, subscriptions, and hopefully, you found out some help. By the way, guys, if you want to, I'm posting over on LinkedIn at the moment. I'm enjoying my time over there. So posting a bunch of, I think, incredibly helpful stuff, hopefully, that helps you guys out. Tom says, was thinking bear put spreads and scaling into them in the end of July, but no worries. That's good. There's a question. If you have a question, then a lot of people do it. Jerok believes China is an opportunity. Go says here, crypto has a long way to go yet. Yeah, well, when it goes, it tends to push. So I wouldn't doubt that is possible. What is your opinion on the crypto kind of deregulation and stuff like that? I think that the stocks are all kind of on a sugar rush at the moment. So you've got your hoods, your coins, all of those types of ones. Look, they rally until they don't. There is correlation there though as well. Coin just hit its IPO price, the top. So there's clearly going to be a bit of targeting there. And there is correlation. So that's a big thing here. No worries, Ryan. Appreciate it. A gold mine is better to invest in than gold goes to 4K. Gold miners are underpriced, and I'll show you how to see that to gold, but they have been for a long time. They're really cheap in comparison to gold, but that doesn't really. There's actually a post that I'm putting out, and there's no free lunch. So basically, there's always a cost. Yeah. So you watch this show, what's your cost? Your cost is your time, and you might have to watch an ad, unless you use YouTube Premium. I recommend YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium saves the soul, guys. Buy YouTube Premium. I'm not even paid like that by YouTube, but I tell you what, I watched a YouTube video without my YouTube Premium the other day. Whoa. The AI ads were out of control. I think I tried to be sold some kind of ginger that makes you lose weight by Oprah Winfrey and AI. I'm not even kidding you. Has anyone seen that ad? It was absolutely wild. Treasuries here, no good. I don't really see the point of them at this stage. Now, you're probably worried, could it go lower? Somebody mentioned here they think it's going to 70. Druckenmiller's shorting it. I'm not necessarily super negative on them, but I don't really quite know what's going on with this yet because, as I said, I think there's a huge move. I think there will be big opportunity on treasuries. I can't see it just yet because we have to watch the long yields. And I'm watching those 30 years. I got like the laser eyes on those 30 years for you, but I just don't quite. It's a weird time. We're getting people actually asking for the first time in a long time. They're saying, I demand, give me some bloody money for your dodgy fiat bonds. I want some good payments. And we just haven't been asked that question for a long time in treasuries or any bonds in the world. So we've got these really 5% kind of 30 years. And the question is, what exactly is going to happen when we refinance in Q3, Q4? So I don't know yet. I'm looking for the signs, and I'm looking for oversaturation of a position one way. So that'll be good. We'll find it. Okay, question was GDX versus gold. So is it better to buy gold stocks or gold itself? Well, historically, it's been better to own gold than gold stocks, at least in recent times. So you can see here that has changed a little bit, though, in terms of ratio. So we've seen a stabilization. Gold stocks have performed about as good as gold recently. You can see by the ratio here. And I would expect at least at some point to see GDX regain the 0.02 ratio. So it is arguable that if you look here, there could be more upward tick here in terms of gold stocks to gold price, because they're not even on a high. Gold stocks, we have looked at them several times and they've been doing well recently, but they're still quite cheap in comparison. So yeah, it's because they write long contracts. They do these freakish things. That's right, Toad. These are my answers to the treasuries. Andrew says, I never trade it, but I do have treasuries. But yeah, you can see here that it's been in a pretty nice rally, but not as good. Stable coins causing demand for treasuries. Tom, good morning. No worries. Hello, Andreas. Hope you have a lovely day. I hope you have a lovely day, dude. X and Reddit are going nuts with Opendoor. Oh my goodness. Opendoor. Open Door Technologies. Let's have a look. Sounds like Pumpy Dumpy. What is this? 1.64 billion. Not big enough for me. I like 5 bill plus action. Shares jumped 32% in pre-market trading. Okay. Adding Friday rally following previous session increase of 36.4%. That just kind of looks like one of these rallies that, you get in, you hope you have the foresight to get out at some point, unless there's really a business behind it. There's generally a storyline, there's scary earnings. I don't know what the news is for it, but yeah, I mean, look, they're obviously, everyone's going to be trying to angle for a 455. Will it get there? No idea. These ones here, dude, are just hype trains. You've just got to almost monitor social activity. Like if everyone's still piling in and it's expanding as a story, which we're kind of helping at the moment too, then yeah, you can jump on in. But this is not where I would cut my teeth if I was an investor or trader in these types of pennier stocks or smaller stocks. They're just more dangerous. You know what I mean? How do you risk manage them? I mean, look where it came from. Oh my goodness. Tom, psychology question for my portfolio went from -8 in April to 21%. Congratulations. Why don't I feel it's enough? If you tell me in April that I'll have this today, I would say sell it and get out. This is always how it is. It's that it's the consistency of how every single person is. And it's because it's just what that shows you is it actually shows you that the news and the media and the stuff that you're sometimes, listening to is actually taking an extreme effect on your psychology. And in trading and investing, what I actually did was I stopped reading the news. And you might say, does that make you stupid? No, I don't think so. I still knew the finance side of things. So obviously I read the financial news, but I stopped listening to the generalized news because what I realized is it was having a huge impact onto my psychology, and that would then affect it. So ask yourself this question. If you watched a depressing Netflix TV show and you finish and you binge watch that night, how do you feel after it finishes? Potentially you may not be a depressed person, but you may feel a little bit depressive. Like you might feel a little bit sad and I don't know, possibly lonely. Who knows? You might feel pretty bad. That will actually carry on over into the next day. So probably what happened is when you were negative in April, you had that fear emotion. And remember, fear is 2 times more powerful than greed. So greed is powerful too, but they're our 2 most powerful emotions. So fear would have made you say, I would have done anything to be out of this market. When greed comes in, it's also very powerful. Not as powerful, but also powerful. And you think, but what if I don't want to be left behind and everything looks good and everything is, you need a clear vision. And the clear vision has to be a plan. So it's a great question, but I always go with you've got to pay a lot of attention to how you feel then, how you feel now. And what I found as an investor and trader for me is that I had to cut the news out and I had to instead look at the data, think about things logically, and have a clear basis of cyclical structure. And that's why, and I will plug it, I do have an advanced course. And that advanced course over at fxevolution.com, I literally I will show you that the economy is not exactly what you think it is. It's quite dodgy, as in the way that it works, but it is replicable and consistently works in a certain way. And once you start to build a framework of confidence, you won't feel like that anymore. Confidence is everything, man. Ryan, $5. Thank you very much for the support. I hope that helps. So yeah, I hope does that help, guys? Maybe somebody there understood what I was talking about, but that is a big thing. Thank you very much, Ryan, for the $5. Much appreciated. And a big $20 from AB. Thank you very much. Tesla earnings this week. What are your thoughts? That's why I left Tesla and Google off the show, because I was waiting for a big donation. Thank you very much, AB. Let's have a look at Tesla. So first up, guys, you would have seen the video on the weekend. We've got Tesla, we've got Alphabet, the two big ones here Wednesday after the close. So these will be the two major earnings. And of course, the expectations of the options market. That's like sponsored content here, AB. Is Tesla, which is a 7.5% options expectation, and of course Google, which is about 6. So these are going to move tens and possibly even hundreds of billions of dollars. So we're going to have some big moves. These are probably the most important because Netflix is one thing. What was that? It was a buy the rumor. It was a sell the fact. So what I'm looking at a lot here is the left-hand side of stocks, and we'll do both Tesla and Google, but I will, AB, I'll kind of stretch this a little bit because I do have a special coming up on the show where I'll be actually looking at a tool to show you how the earnings have worked in the past and whether we can gain some insight from that. But this was the first one, which was Netflix. So Netflix was, I think Blind Freddy could see on the left-hand side that this was an absolute ramp since last earnings. So to me, it really didn't matter whether they had a blowout earnings or not. I think it was likely they weren't going to keep up to, $860 to $1,200 expectations. That's a lot. So generally speaking, that's more likely to be a buy the rumor, sell the fact. So if you're going to like a stock like, what's something that's up a lot? Not that one really. Like Microsoft, for example. So Microsoft absolutely ramping, doing pretty well. It's more likely that's a buy the rumor, sell the fact because it's had such an improvement. It really need to give you good numbers. It'll need to be like a 9 out of 10 on the scale of numbers. Google, quickly before we go back to Tesla, that one not as much. That I would call it almost neutral. So that means it could have good earnings. And remember, the consistency has been, look at this. I mean, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of the last 9 earnings have been all positive. So that is, appreciate it, Greg. That is pretty wild. And that means that you have to expect it to be green. You have to expect them to beat because they have been beating. And I don't see why they wouldn't beat. There's political content that's going to be building ads on YouTube. I don't know who isn't watching this type of stuff. Personally, I would stay the hell away from it. I think it clouds your judgment from your trades. But anyway, we won't get into it. The other thing is that you've got the Google search now having AI in it, which may be pulling people away from some of the other AI platforms. And of course, you've got everything else that Google's doing. So you could argue that this is more likely to be green than red based on the fact that the market doesn't really have a strong left-hand side. You know what I'm saying? It's not really, a strong pullback from what I'd say. And the same thing goes for Tesla. Tesla's been up, down, and all around. But how's the earnings been? Not so good, very mixed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 6 of the last 7 have been red. Now, how's the market reacted? Market was up a lot, sold, okay, off mostly bad news before that. Green one, okay, it went up. Red one, again, left-hand side was strong, so it was buy the rumor, sell the fact. This one, left-hand side was horrible. Bad earnings, who cares? Rally it up, baby. This one, neutral. Bad earnings, went down a bit. Actually, yeah, it went down a bit. This one here, again, neutral, but up mostly. Off the last one, of course, it's going to sell. So here, I would say this is so neutral. Geez, I'm confused. I'm going to take it over to the chat a little bit because I'm just trading it as an options trade. 320 break, 350 is the next level. That's generally how I'd look at it. What do you guys think? Let's see some chat comments here. Do you believe are traders the only people who love Mondays? Yes. And they make memes about it. Rocket Lab is red pre, but bullish candle from Friday is getting it again. Isn't Rocket Lab that stock that's like literally flying off to the rocket moon? Musk is back. Did someone tell me that Musk is sleeping? Am I right in thinking this, that he's back sleeping in the Tesla workplace? That would be like living hell if you were like working there. No one, you do not want Musk sleeping in the building because he would expect you to sleep in the building. Oh no. Is he there? Oh, he's there. Oh no. SoFi hit resistance the other day, Dankton, and I guess to me it's just kind of, it's at resistance. I'm not sure if it's at the moment. It's to escape his so many children. Maybe that is. He does have a lot of kids, and no one knows where some of them are, I'm sure. He's breaching the K hole in the office. Very good. Allegedly. This is a comment, by the way, not my opinion. Yeah, so Tesla in this issue is well, he's back in the office. Okay, people, the stockholders like that kind of stuff, so it's rallying up. I'm really confused. I'll get the options expected moves out and have a look at the ratios, but I really feel like you don't get much evidence from this chart, dude. I know that's your question, but it's not so easy because all I know at the moment is that the positive gamma is pushing it towards 350. Is that going to happen? It's an odds-based strategy concept. So the earnings, if I had to guess, people have fishbowl memories. I know these were based on bad shipments. Here's a question for the chat. Have you seen people buying Teslas again in your country? Tell me the country. Tell me whether you're buying. People are buying them again. So I'll be the first one. AU, Australia. I would say yes, they're buying again. So remember how there was that whole everyone hates Elon, run around, everyone doesn't want to buy the Elon mobiles or whatever they call them. That seems to have dissipated and people are buying the new Model Y, frankly. I see them everywhere. It's like a plague. It's like a locust swarm of Model Ys floating around Melbourne, where I am in Australia. So I would say yes, they're back. I'd be interested to know whether EU is back, though. So EU people, speak up. Let's see. No Tesla sales in Canada. In North Korea, they are not purchasing. Very good. I see new Model Ys and everywhere in California. Okay. Ukraine buying a lot of used ones. True. Denmark less buying. Portugal and Germany, no. Okay. I saw an ad for someone offering to take the Tesla logo off your car. Wow. That's pretty wild. Humanoid robots are going to be huge. The pivot from heavy industry to whole new market is going to be factored enough. I agree. Product is the next AI eventually. Yeah, still down. Okay, so it looks like EU is kind of saying no. I would say AU is, I think, kind of on the up, if I had to guess, but maybe we're too small a market, so no one cares. Yeah, I'm going to go with maybe surprise to the upside. Guess. But I don't have what I would call edge evidence. That makes sense. Vemi, always appreciate you, bro. Thank you very much for your super chat. Says, I've been taking the advanced course for over a month now. It's worth every dollar. It's the perfect investment in your future. Yeah, put a lot of effort into it for sure. Super interesting and valuable. Opened a new door for me in, I'm assuming there's more, but it's not there. But I appreciate it there, Vemi. Thank you very much, man. I do appreciate that. Japan purchasing more. UK market is China cars now. Well, that is the thing. I mean, these China cars are cheap and they're pretty plush. When they all come into the countries, you watch it in America. If they flooded into America, I'm pretty sure people would drive them. But then again, you do have pretty sweet utes. I would probably buy the giant American pickup If I was in America, I definitely would. I'd definitely buy one of your giant American pickups. I'm not sure which one, but I'd definitely look at them. Tom, thoughts on BYD is becoming more popular? I'm pretty sure if I had to guess, I will say BYD will fight with Toyota as being the number one and number two car auto manufacturer of the future. But that's not what Tesla is. Obviously we're talking cars. I'm just interested. Yeah, I agree, Michael. Yeah, interesting. Utes, trucks. Yeah, we have like little utes though. We now have your American trucks, but they cost $1 billion. They like ripping us off because they have to switch them to the other side, and then you can't park them anywhere because we have little. See, we have little car parks in Australia, and you put that giant truck in there, and it just eats the other car parks. You can't park it. The Americans in this audience that haven't been to Australia, you'd be horrified at the car parking situation. I know what it's like over there, and here is little tiny car parks for those. Was it Kia Picantos? All right, so Bitcoin's good. It's kind of just hovering. We've got Ethereum on the way, hopefully to 4. We've got crypto moving through. We've got a lot of correlation off the top, which is why I wanted to get into today. Looks like China could be still breaking out. Nice moves in the metals. Copper, a little bit of the hard commodities, still on the rally. This one's a little bit more dangerous because, of course, Trump got involved with tariffs, which I don't like touching anything that's too tariffed, where he goes tariff on, tariff off. We don't want that. So you stay away from tariff on, tariff off generally. And dollar index finding a little bit of resistance here at the supply. So it's still in technically an overall downtrend, but it has improved recently. This week, you're watching Wednesday afternoon is pretty much the day to watch, guys. I'm interested predominantly. If I had to say, what am I watching this week? I'm actually watching these types of stocks. The coins, the hoods, the IBKRs, the Weebles, the Tiger, all of these types of ones we've brought up on the show before. And the reason why I'm watching them, and you see the Weeble here from last week, it kind of went ballistic there off the run, is because to me, this is kind of where the hypergrowth lives at the moment. So this FinTech 2.0 concept, particularly hood and coin, notice here on the Friday, we have this massive doji candle, and they're quite large. Like, I'll just show you. This is a 6% doji, and coins is bigger, I think. So coins one, as it hits the all-time high, is 9. So the reason I'm watching these two guys is because if these start to tip over a bit, it's another kind of sign of rotation and maybe a pullback in markets. Because I'll be real, I would rather see the weekly 20 hit over the next 1 to 2 months because it makes sense. Now, it's not that I don't think that we can push higher. I've told you CTAs will have to purchase at a certain point soon. They'll just be forced to buy in, but I would rather that doesn't happen. Someone told me pickup trucks get bigger and bigger and bigger because the rules regarding engine size versus body size in the US. Is this true? I don't know. Maybe someone can tell you here. Dollar index is inverted head and shoulders and it's going to moon. Is it? Let's have a look here. By the way, ding, 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 ding. We open, guys, and the markets are coming in relatively flat, I would say, other than if you're in crypto or commodities. Why am I in US oil? You're kind of guessing, I think, at this stage, but I understand what you're saying. You're saying left shoulder head, right shoulder possibility, neckline 99, breach. That distance here, which would be A, would equal B. So that would make sense. And it's something, yeah, I mean, I agree. If it breaks 99.20, which I've said, probably going to the 101s plus. Weeble went up on Friday and dropped at the end of the day. Yes, indeed. Nothing turns me on like a healthy trend line. Very good. That's from C-Man, D-Man, literally. What is that terrifying picture you have there, bro? What is that thing? It is absolutely terrifying. Like Mario and a clown from that cousin It or whatever it is. GLXY up 8% this morning. I'm seeing lots of codes that remind me of 21, and I'm seeing a lot of movements that remind me of 21 right now, I will say. So we've got 10% here, 7% here. The current trends, and I will have this special in today's close show. These are the current trends. FinTech 2.0, which is basically all this tokenization stuff. Uranium, which obviously is the new based energy for AI. Then we have air taxis. Not kidding you, if you're not familiar. Air taxis. We have space 2021. It's back. The space is back, guys. And we have all sorts of things like this. So effectively, these types of markets, when they're back, and they're not really, of course, you've got quantum as well. When they're back and you don't really have an infrastructure build out or way of making money from them yet, it's always going to be pumpy and then dumpy. So I think what your plan is this week, guys, is to stay optimistic, to watch for correlation, to check the yield on the US 30Y relatively closely because that's important, to watch FinTech 2.0 because I think that's kind of a leader of the market, and to see for these markets to basically show any sign of reversal, which at this point we have not got. So in general, I do think that markets are still pushing higher. I'd like to see a sell between this 6,300, 6,350, which I've been pretty consistent on. And I think it makes sense. But remember, there's always another opportunity. So you miss this, we've got rotation to metals, hard metals. You miss that, might have China. You miss that, give me something else. So what I'd like to leave you all with this week, guys, is abundance mindset. Be patient. Wednesday afternoon. Watch the show. I'll have a lot of good stuff coming your way this week. And the stats, again, from the start, technically, only 11% of the time, 3 days after this read, are we bullish? There you go. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's session. I know we did a bit of rambling. We did some good psychology thing there, though, which are great questions. The chat has been amazing. You've been very, very good with the questions. We'll leave here. Alan said 2021 only stopped because the Fed needed it to. With the Fed content, we're about to witness levels of stupid like never seen before. This is certainly the argument. Before any epic crash can ever come through, everyone has to be all in. And that means usually parabolic. So it's a great comment, and I think you could leave that to think about. But that doesn't mean you can't get pullbacks. It just means that for a crash to occur, you generally need everyone all in. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now. Always an opportunity. We'll see you next week. Follow me over on LinkedIn if you're interested. And I look forward to coming to you at the end of today to discuss these options moves. Catch you guys. Bye-bye. Euphoria, that's right.